Alright. Could place this up another base then. Hi. Really nothing much, just screwing around, obviously. That's probably gonna need a boost. Dang it. Yeah, it's mostly just go from point A to point B, make a new point A, rinse and repeat. Yeah, it's either that or hell of a time waster, too. guess in my case, it's see how long I can keep this road network or whatever running until I run out of supplies. That describes a lot of my previous interactions with this game when I have friends playing. It's like, oh yeah, we'll just start doing this, and you know, next thing you know, it's like morning or something like that. I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing, though. Because sometimes it's just really good to get wrapped up in whatever you're doing. Even again, if it's something not terribly too thought-provoking, like this game. But again, that's completely fine. I definitely agree on that. This is, again, this is a game that can eat up a lot of time, but it's also just like, you know, as you're describing it, ain't gotta do anything. Actually, I don't know if what I'm about to do here is a good idea. Is that gonna be right? I think I need to make one more level. I have to admit, I haven't done the intentional forest fire yet. I've had the accidental, though. Mostly involving storms. And in one version of my game, setting fire to a wooden tower. Yeah, surprisingly, it's been a long time since I've actually played this on PC. That's where a lot of more of my, I guess, infamous within my circle of friends at the time, where we do dumb stuff, you know, build a large wooden tower and then see what remains after we set it on fire. Same here. I kind of lost contact with that particular group. Mostly in part, I guess, because my PC that I used to play on, well, it was a gaming laptop I totally destroyed, I guess, the video card, so it's not good for much things. guess as I'm also not too ashamed to admit I have multiple versions of this game. I mean, obviously. Also had it on the 360 for a while until I decided to upgrade. But yeah, again, most of my group playing was on the PC. You know, when you could also have like someone set up a dedicated server, you didn't necessarily need everybody around. So you could surprise people with what you were doing. Oh yeah, console wars are just like so ridiculously dumb. This is not going to end well for me. Well, I don't mind dating myself, but let's just say my first console goes all the way back to the Atari 5200. And then I've had just about every major console since then. Again, I don't mind dating myself. Oh, which version of the Game Boy was that? I'm trying to remember. Was that like the, I want to say like, dual screen one, I think? Or the flip one? Holy shit, am I dating myself? Okay. I think I surprisingly still have mine. And I wouldn't be surprised if I have the original whatever crappy Game Boy Advance that didn't have a backlit screen. You know, speaking of terrible designs. That's dumb. I think I wrote. Yeah, I think. God, what dumb game did I end up grinding with a friend? Man, I don't even remember. But yeah, as soon as you, as soon as you said Link, I'm like, oh, I remember doing that with a couple games as well. to do. I mean, the older console, like some of the older consoles, like I would say, definitely do have a certain charm to them. But there's also, man, some of the older stuff is really, really showing its age. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but like also in a way, it's like I guess the best way to put it is like, you know, you look at each new console and you just like reminders like, wow, this is really good. You go back and play something that's like, yeah, this is definitely old. Again, that's not a bad thing. Surprisingly, that's like one of the few consoles I actually did not own. And I'd probably say just sort of probably dissatisfaction with Nintendo at that point in time. I mean, that wouldn't like stop me from playing like a friend's N64. Also, I guess I'd say my feelings about Nintendo are the same I feel about Sega. They both kind of screwed themselves up. I mean, I'm not actually, like, to be fair, I'm not actually sure where, like, Nintendo kind of went wrong. I mean, it might be the same thing for actually, like, both of the major manufacturers. And that is, like, I mean, because, like, you know, hey, who doesn't, like, remember, well, if you were playing at the time, who doesn't remember the Konami 32X or the Sega CD or like everything else they tried to bolt on to the Genesis? Um, I think like it just feels like for me, I feel like Nintendo kind of started going downhill when they just lost it. It felt again at the time it felt like they just didn't have the third party support. Like it's very early around today, but like I like for me, uh, Final Fantasy VII going to the PlayStation, um, which I have a huge separate rant on that as well. Like Nintendo not getting any more Final Fantasy franchises um, was you know I think one of the many things. Like I still don't think Nintendo's rebounded either, but they're they're obviously doing better. But I obviously like they're nowhere near where they once were. Like I own a Switch as well. I don't actually think you're wrong there. Like everyone just seems to be like, you know, out in a race to like, you know, put the next best thing out, and like, I understand your hardware is going to become obsolete at some point, but like, again, one of the advantages of having a console is that you don't have to frickin' upgrade it every 18 months. So like, yeah, I guess the best way to say it is just like, if you own that space, you know, you're you'll do you'll do perfectly fine. But you just, companies just need to sort of accept that. But I mean, like, I would say both Sega and Nintendo at the time. I mean, they were just spitting out consoles left and right. I mean, so was everyone else. The 90s were for consoles, the 90s were something else, I'll say that. And everyone was just like just trying to outdo each other. And, basically that opened the door for Sony to come in. Although I guess probably to be fair, Sony probably had a slight advantage is that they just were properly developing, a CD-based console rather than whatever the hell Sega was doing. They had Nintendo. Oh, it is kind of humorous to see, like, Nintendo still to own the cartridge. So I guess in a way it's just like, how's the best way to put it? I guess, I mean, to be honest, it's like the 90s is just kind of like everyone sort of realizing like, hey, these console things actually might be a pretty good idea. So there was just a ton for the time. Like, you still had the Super Nintendo, the Sega Genesis, you know, the NES was kind of dying, but I mean, it was still more than serviceable at the time. But obviously, the big things were the Super Nintendo and the Genesis, and then just to like, this is, I guess this is in part where like people were also trying to beat everyone to the punch because CD technology was starting to come around. Um, so you had just yeah, you had you had like the 3DO, Atari Jaguar, um, the CDI from Philips. I mean, there's just like a whole. Again, it's just basically all these like basically CD based, consoles. Again, not necessarily it's a bad thing, but it's just like people really didn't, these companies really didn't know what they were doing. A common theme probably throughout the gaming industry, but like, everybody was just trying to one up each other, and the problem just became is just like there were so many consoles, and they were just like not really anything distinguishable. Because in a way, like Sega and Nintendo, whatever they put out or they had was just so much better still. I kind of think like probably a modern day analog to this would be when like the Blu-ray nonsense and whatever the super CDs, DVD formats, Blu-ray and whatever HD CD or whatever. That was basically what was going on in the 90s. In a similar fashion, it's just like, oh, we have this, oh, we have this, and it basically boiled down to is that none of this garbage is any good. As harsh as that may be, but, in a way it's like kind of the truth. Yep. Oh, that's gonna be bad. I should not do that. I mean, also, like, with the quantity over quality, like, heck, that stuff exists today. It may not necessarily be in hardware, but, you know, look at all the companies that are falling over themselves trying to produce a better Battle Royale game. You know, the old follow the money concept. Yeah. I'd say, or in the case of people who are really bad at it, yeah, producing that, just utter trash. It's kind of like, take a look to see how many, you know, I say this term, you know, I guess not affectionately, but, you know, in quotation marks, it's just like, how many Minecraft clones are there out there? Hell, how many Minecraft clones are there with all the assets ripped straightly from Minecraft? Yeah, and I mean, in part because there's like not that much of a review process. I mean, you know, Apple and, you know, I'm just going to draw a blank because I own an iPhone. You know, the Android platforms, you know, just like whoever does that process. Oh, this could be bad too. Yeah, they just don't like, you know, review. You know, review in quotation marks. Damn it, that's a hole. I mean, funnily enough, like, I don't know, people people trying to rip off, the latest thing isn't too terribly surprising. Like, I'm, somewhat cynical about it, but, like, again, it's also just like, well, what a surprise. I guess in the same way, it's like, what a surprise, the human race is not as smart as it thinks it is. And again, I'm acknowledging, like, that's just full-on cynicism, but, in a way, it's kind of the truth. Or at the very least, collectively. We do have obviously some smart people. I guess, obviously, if you want to be super cynical, the answer is, well, of course we're dumb. Take a look at internet culture. Even though a lot of that has to do with, just being anonymous. And a lot of people, acting tougher than they should because there's really no consequences. Yeah, I mean, like, or they don't want to understand, or it's just, whatever. Getting stuck on their views or whatever. And again, I also say this as someone who's said some dumb shit in their lifetime. Done some dumb things. I mean, we're not talking like anything remotely in the, realm of even close to breaking the law or anything. But, I have been stupid in my life. Yeah, well, I mean, like, I'm not excusing the behavior. It's just like you sort of get set in your ways, but, I'm side because I don't mind telling anyone because, I'm 43, like, and there's just it's like I can look back back on like, you know, stuff from my childhood. It's just like, you know, obviously there's stuff that I'll say I know better or anything, but it's just like, you know, there's certain actions just like, wow, that was pretty stupid. Actually, hold on, train of thought loading. No, that was the right place. Um, you know, so like I just like eventually like I would like to think I learned from, you know, attempted to become a, you know, a better person. But I can also admit like there's some things in, you know, in my life where it's just like, man, I just don't give a flying F. That's probably like not the healthiest attitude to take. I guess I was done here. Keeping that stuff for spares. I mean, like, obviously, like, my mom and I have, you know, definitely some of the same shared, I would say, like, modern, sensible views. You know, obviously, she's a baby boomer. But, you know, like, she definitely, you know, agrees, like, you know, like kind of what's going on in the U.S. is just like completely batshit insanity, you know, and just, you know, so she's not like, you know, some sort of old toxic old person that just is so super stuck in their ways they just, you know, refuse to believe like, again, modern sensibilities. Yeah, which is, you know, one, good on my mom, but I mean, also that means she raised me right, or we hope. I mean, you know, to be fair, Canada is not necessarily immune. You guys, you know, have obviously done a good job of keeping the worst of idiots out of office, but, you know, like, you know, who knows when something stupid will happen? Because I mean, like, you know, this is happening in, you know, this is happening in Europe. But, you know, then again, as an American, I can also say we have a stupid political system. But I also do like our neighbors to the north. And I've actually set foot in Canada twice in my lifetime. Both times it was amazing. Um, the most recent time was a little over a year ago. Um, so I went to Toronto. Um, this is one of my old hobbies that I've actually given up. Um, me and two of my friends, we were in Toronto for a Magic the Gathering tournament at the downtown convention center. Um, and we stayed at an Airbnb, which was a pretty awesome, you know, place all things considered. We did go see a Blue Jays game, in part because one of my friends is a baseball fan. Um, like I used to be a baseball fan, I'm not now, but I still thought the, you know, experience was pretty cool. Um, we got to do some sightseeing around downtown. It was just a pretty good time. I was quite impressed, and like, given the chance, I'd come back. Um, and then the other time was, are we talking 17 years ago now? Um, that sounds about right. So 17 years ago, um, I flew up to Seattle with a bunch of online friends. We basically met more online friends uh, in Kelowna, British Columbia. And I mean, basically, oh my God, um, that was awesome. Like, Kelowna was just a just a gorgeous, mountain lake town. The drive through the mountains was awesome. We even ended up doing dumb thing in the middle of the trip, like driving 8 hours to Calgary. So got to drive through the mountains in June again, and again that was super awesome. Like, um, you know, had a brief stay over in Vancouver. Um, again, this was like 17 years ago. We were in Vancouver for a few hours, mostly to like eat and drop people off. But yeah, again, like that was super awesome too. It's just like, if I had the money, I'd totally go back. I realized I did all this, and I like still need to do other shit. What town are you in? Oh, yeah. Sorry. Town. Apologies for my terrible pronunciations. Oh, God. I am going to sound so stupid. Where's New Brunswick at? I'm probably going to feel ridiculous after you say where it's at, too. I'm also saying I should know where it's at because of the company I work at. Okay. I do a good job of screwing up the eastern section of Canada, like Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, that whole area. I say all this because I work at Edward Jones, and we've got financial offices in Canada, and like I should know some of this stuff, and I do a pretty good job of it, but obviously here I just I just completely blanked. So thank you very much. Before I go down the hole, I should bring all my mining supplies. I mean, like, to be fair, so I'm in St. Louis, Missouri, so I'm in the Midwest. Um, affectionately or derisively, I guess, depending, flyover country. So, you know, no one gives a shit about the Midwest. Um, I mean, and I also think my city is boring and crappy, but I've also lived here my entire life, so I probably have a very, very, jaded point of view. That's probably not 100% accurate. At least I'm hoping. It's fine because I also just think that everybody says that about their hometown. It's like, oh, my hometown sucks. I mean, I'm not trying to sound dismissive of it, but like, I guess the best way to put it is like, isn't that normally just straight up the problem with weed? Is that just like, you know, everybody and their grandmother can sell it? I say this as someone who's maybe taken a few drags in my entire life, maybe smoked 6 cigarettes total, and doesn't have a lot of history with alcohol, so again, not trying to be flip or anything. Yeah, I'd just say like even my high school was, you know, pretty sedate. You know, I didn't know of any like open drug problems, and definitely didn't say anything in elementary. Although I say all that, and, like, definitely one of my friends from high school, who I lost contact with because he moved away, and I know exactly why he moved away. Like, he was definitely had a drug problem. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's like, if he ended up like dead out in the Southwest in Arizona or New Mexico from a drug overdose. Which was a shame too, because he's a really smart kid. But also had like somewhat of a shitty home life. Sorry for the downer. Sorry, my train of new train of thought is trying to board. Oh yeah. I mean, like, you know, I'm not gonna try and tell you to start, but I mean, just like, you know, part of life is just, you know, trying to get through the difficult times, you know, trying to get through the challenges. That's a great way of putting it. That's a very excellent way of putting it. I'm kind of jealous of it. I mean, because really, in some regards, that's, you know, kind of how you grow as a person. is getting through the not so easy spots. But also in a way that it just makes all the good stuff that much of a better payoff. Or if not, at the very least, it turns you into just like one hell of a cynical bastard. He says, probably looking at self. Oh, well, thank you very much for stopping by. Like, like, as you can see from my numbers, I don't have, like, that big of a following. And I'm not asking for anything. But there have been basically probably one of my most rewarding things is just about doing this randomly and, you know, randomly streaming is I've had, like, you know, some of just like the most fun and interesting conversations with random person on the internet. I'm not saying that's an insult, you know, and this has just been, yeah, this has been fun for me. And I say this as a, you know, socially awkward introvert. But yeah, just some, you know, some of my best times, you know, so far have been just randomly, you know, swapping stories with you know, someone who just stopped in. So, you know, hey, thank you very much for stopping by and, you know, putting up with my nonsense, because it was great. This was fun. Yeah, sometimes you just have to drag me kicking and screaming. Yeah, hey, again, I definitely agree with that. That not often I get to chat with someone and it's have not been disappointed. So again, thank you. Well, you just kind of, you know, when you are randomly unquoting, talking about things, like, you just tend to bounce around. It's just kind of like, who knows where you'll end up? You just kind of, it's kind of like you just talk about this. It's just like, oh yeah, I know this. I don't even remember. I can't remember what the last one was like when I did this, but like, it ended up. I'm not gonna say like super weird, but it ended up in like a similar space. It's just like video games into something, God, I wish I could remember. Just something completely unrelated to video games. But that was still like this one. It was just still it was a really good time. Just you know going along that journey, so to speak. I mean, heck, it was probably a couple weeks ago. Uh, had some friends in watching me stream. Someone from England jumped in the chat, and then they just started chatting up. I was just like, I'm just gonna let you guys do your thing. And that was actually, just pretty amazing just to see that happen too. So. Yeah, it is. It's again one of the things I just find like interesting, and I guess one of the reasons why I'm willing to put up with all this BS on the internet. But like it's just because like you know when you do run into the you know the random person, and you both just start going or whatever. It's like you know as I said, it's a very, very rewarding experience. Also, and again, I mean this, not meaning this as an insult. It also just means that you two are, the both of you are just like rising above the fray and not acting like complete jackasses on the internet. Apologies for the social commentary there. I get into it a couple times with my friends, just like, why do you bother with some of the nonsense on the internet? Like, it's the internet. Like, it's so easy to walk away. so like be the exception to the rule. And I say that knowing the, complete irony train is around the corner when in my younger days I had a very hard time walking away from stuff. Which I'm sure if my friends go back and watch this, they'll call me out it on sometimes, but whatever. Yeah. I mean, I give my friends trouble all the time. So, I mean, it's only fair if they give me shit back for all my shortcomings. Which they absolutely should. It's also in the realm of, come to think of it, I don't know why they don't call me out on my bullshit more. Because I think I definitely give it out more than it comes back. Sweet. I've never seen this biome. Yeah. Oh, again, I do randomly admit, as probably someone in my group who probably does not have the best filter, I've taken it too far from time to time. And had to have been reined in by friends, so... Stupid pose. Oh, wow. What game would I want remastered? Ha. I'm gonna have to think about that one. I guess so. The short answer, and this would just be for accessibility, is I think I would want Final Fantasy III properly remastered on a console that you have access to. Because I think right now it's only on the DS. It's just... but man, oh, what? Alright, what is a game that I just spent way too much time playing? So a couple very obscure games from the Super Nintendo and Genesis days. I would like to see from the Genesis Master of Monsters, which was basically like a turn-based RTS. Similarly, Warsong, which I'm gonna butcher the German. I think it's a translation from German of Der Langrisser. But I would like to see that redone and maybe just get the full translation of the entire series. Perhaps Ogre Battle? I guess the other one I could actually think of is just the original Final Fantasy Tactics. Yeah, I probably of all the games, I think it would be just like a working, accessible version of Final Fantasy III, barring that a console version of Final Fantasy Tactics. Purely for selfish reasons, because I'm pretty sure my PlayStation memory cards are gonna stop working at some point. And I'm not playing it on the phone. That was a super good question, by the way. And I know I cheated by giving like 5 answers. Huh. That's another good question. Alright. Alright, well, I'm not actually like too big or maybe a deep thinker, so it's not going to be like something too far back. Because it's just like, you know, yeah, the cool answers of like, you know, whatever. Like some, you know, some past dude who's dead. Like, yeah, that has like some application. Like, you know, it's just in a way like modern times are just so much better anyways. So, I mean, I guess for selfish reasons, the best I could probably come up with is actually like going back to probably back. It'd probably actually be because this is actually like something I'd probably have to put a lot of thought into. But like, if it's for personal, I would probably say I would just go back to like roughly around 86 or 87. Tell myself that none of the people in grade school matter. You should stop worrying about it. I mean, funnily enough, also, I would probably go back to myself in '93 after I graduated high school and say, that college thing, don't do it. what you are thinking is exactly correct. Um, because I dropped out of two of the major colleges in my area. I'd have nothing to show for it. So, like, yeah, it'd just be like, as weird as it sounds, it'd just be like something like that, and just say like, you know, like what you're thinking is correct. Is that this isn't worth it for you, you know, and just, you know, what you're probably thinking is correct. So just, you know, just go, you know, just go do whatever it is you're doing. Enjoy your life. Yeah, at the time, yeah, like that's another thing. Like someone who fully admits it. Like I screwed up my relationship with my girlfriend. I'm not saying like, oh, watch out, women are evil or anything, because this is completely on me. In part because I was, you know, freaking immature teenager. Um, you know, it's kind of like I don't know. Like there, I don't know if it's just like, even though we were so compatible, it's like, would that have been the right, you know? And like, I don't know. I don't want to sound too altruistic, but it's just like, you know, she was right to break up with me. I was just too immature. And, you know, hey, me going back in time and saying, like, don't go to college or anything, like, that may have sped things along, but I mean, that's just, for me, again, that's just the truth of the matter is, you know, I was freaking like any other just dumb teenager. I was just immature and really didn't know what I wanted to do. And going in the future, for not again. Why did I do that? Um, like for me, I'm not too worried about the future. Um, this isn't like this isn't some sick brag or anything. I'm, you know, just saying is that, you know, I'm I've overcome cancer twice, so um, I don't, you know, I don't necessarily want to worry about the future. It's not that I don't care. It's just like, you know, I'm kind of more interested in the now, as weird and dumb as that sounds. So, and also I understand if my answers are cop-outs. This is the boring part of my game. this is going to take a while. Ah, my controller. Alright, I am actually going to take a break. I've got a hungry dog and probably a need to stuff my face with some sort of snack. So, Toxic Wolfgang. Game. Jeez, I can't read. Thank you very much for showing up. I appreciate it. This conversation was super awesome. There is obviously no obligation to ever visit this channel, but like I have my streaming information in my profile, times, all that nonsense. Surprisingly, I mostly play Rocket League, and I just kind of play Minecraft on the side, and occasionally other random games if I can remember to hit the start broadcasting button on the PlayStation. So, yeah. But yeah, thank you very much for showing up.